do that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
How are you, folks? Hope you're having a decent sort of a time of it. I'm sorry my picture is a bit fuzzy. I think it has a lot to do with my internet connection. It is not good where I am, and I did not bring Starlink with me because I'm in the little Suzuki, and there's not a lot of room in the little Suzuki, just between you, me, and the gatepost. So it is what it is. I tried to get the whole thing to upscale yesterday. I need to talk to Vincenzo more about that. Maybe he'll poke his head in later tonight after his meetings. He's been pretty busy with my place, and I was speaking with Darren Bergwerf earlier today. Pardon me. A lot of things happening here in Canberra, obviously, but also over in Victoria with farmers who are coming together to protect other farmers who some of these big power companies and government organisations want to come onto their land after the government enacted laws to allow all this to happen. Under threat of $12,000 fines, the property owners are refusing access, which is very brave of them. And I figure I'm closer to them than I am to home, so we're going to try and get to Victoria, spend a couple of days over there on the front line with those folks, telling their story, but that's going to require a little extra fuel and a couple of nights stay somewhere, very cheap, no doubt. So if you can help out, then you could donate at vofhq.com. That would really help us. And that will depend entirely, the donation stage will depend entirely on whether or not I go to Victoria or just head back. At one point or another, I will be calling into the Donkey Sanctuary. That was always the plan, to do it this weekend on my way back. But I don't know that I'll be going back that way this weekend. I've been asked by a number of people to go over to Victoria, but I can get there, but I can't get back. And I don't fancy spending nights on the side of the road in the Suzuki because it's a bit tight, like I mentioned earlier. And it can get a little stormy, although that's a storm cell off Bribie Island in Queensland yesterday. Huge storms in the southeast corner and moving up the coast of Queensland yesterday. In fact, I think it was from Mackay down, with the most intense portions of it to the north and the west of Brisbane, right in the northern suburbs. But many, many suburbs, particularly along the coast, got pummeled. Great shot of some lightning. This was taken out the back door of a mate's place, and he's sort of halfway between the Gold Coast and Brisbane, if you like. Pretty spectacular bit of lightning. And my daughter, Laura, rang to ask how the bus fared, because where they are, they got 11 centimetre hail. That isn't her hand and not her hail. That was taken, well, I don't know where they picked that up from, but it was in a newspaper somewhere and I snaffled it. So just to show you a bit of an idea. But they did get 11 centimetre hail where Laura lives, which is out along near Cleveland, if you like, in Brisbane, if you know that area. So, pretty harsh time. And a lot of things. Oh, Vincenzo must be in doing things. Well done, mate. Thank you. What they did get smashed. Absolutely so. If you weren't with us before I get into that, I want to mention Pete from Pinaroo, who's just fortuitously been put up on the screen. Now, this is Pete's place. They're stripping, finally. Unfortunately, it's not the huge yielding crop that I guess most farmers are hoping for. There wasn't a lot of rain this season, which made it a little thin on the ground, so to speak. But beautiful part of the world. And I guess stripping season began and ended fairly rapidly, if that's all you've got to do. I'm not sure, Pete, if that's all you've got to do or not. But thanks for sending in those pics. Really appreciate it. And I was talking to Wade and Nick yesterday, saying that, I'm very keen to come and help on properties. And I said, maybe I can drive a chase bin or something, tow a trailer. I'm pretty good at doing those sorts of things. And they sort of looked at me rather incredulously of like, oh, yeah, you reckon that's pretty easy to do? And I said, oh, well, I'm not saying it is. I've never done it. But, I've driven tractors and towed things on the tractors, dug up spuds, fed hay off the back of them. I guess driving it's one thing. Being able to drive it at a constant speed I thought was pretty easy. It's imagine where it's placed and all. Anyway, I'm a learner. If they want to learn, somebody wants to teach me, I'm all ears. And if I'm going halfway to South Australia for the stripping season, well, maybe there's a chance through Victoria they need a hand, and I might wind up working on a farm in Victoria for a couple of weeks for bed and breakfast, so I can earn my keep to drive back to Queensland. And when the bastards turn up at the gates at the farm and want to come on and measure things or do whatever they're doing, I'll be happy to line up the gate, first one there. So, speaking of happy to line up, there are warriors and then there are warriors. If you have not ever heard of the Corruption Whistleblower, I urge you to go to corruptionwhistleblower.com and have a bloody good look. There you will find 4 newspapers, but I call them newspapers because that's what they look like and it's the easiest thing for you to refer to. Because if I presented them to you in a leather-bound book and said, here are 4 briefs of evidence, you'd probably yawn and your eyes would roll back in your head. But that is essentially, that is exactly what has been created by the Corruption Whistleblower in the 4 editions that they have out and available from corruptionwhistleblower.com. But they do not rest on their laurels. Oh, no. We had the People's Court earlier this year, indictments rather, where we came to Old Parliament House and made some serious speeches and laid the indictments fair and square on the table. Now, I don't know how we got into Old Parliament House that day, and much less how we got out of it alive, but we do. Hello, Donna. Hello, Peter. God love you both. And you were back there again last week, beating the dragon in the den once again. So congratulations to both of you. Thank you for everything that you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks so much, Carl. Yeah, we're back in New Parliament House, actually. So yes, it was New Parliament House. So, yeah, thanks for that. And, of course, you're doing amazing work as well. It's the endurance that is kicking in now, isn't it, for all the freedom warriors? Yeah. Indeed.
And there's more pressure coming on in more places. And you, me, and others like us feel not a pressure, but a desire, a great need to be able to be there to support them, to show that we support them. And if we have a platform to be able to get that out, which is what, obviously I want to do here and clearly through Corruption Whistleblower, and hopefully we can get Corruption Whistleblower on FBN going forward into 2026 and beyond. And I'm sure we can have some absolutely amazing content in the likes of which that you guys put up last week. God, I would have loved to have been there and seen in person the faces that some of those bank executives made when you presented this document to them. Now, it's a thick document. They didn't read it. They didn't sort of even open it, I don't think. There's 140 odd pages to this document. But you both presented it. No, I beg your pardon, I'm using the wrong word. You served these documents on them. And one guy said, they don't really need to be like served, do they? Yes, sir, they do. These are legal documents. So why don't you take us from the beginning? Can you explain what the document is and, why it relates to trillions of dollars and where the bloody hell are they, those dollars?
Yeah, well, it actually originally started as a deposit in 1966 to the Reserve Bank of Australia. They were given 12,000 metric tons of gold at 4% to be accrued over 30 years and then potentially in the Reserve Bank to have back more currency with that to distribute to the public. But I just want to touch on the subject of the Financial Agreement, Decimal Point Currency Act, number 39, 1966, which converted our currency from the pound to decimal point currency of America. So it's very coincidental that this has happened at this time because in 1967, let's get back to the act. So on the bottom of that act, on page 5, it has the word housing. So strangely enough, we were given these 12,000 metric tons of gold to back our currency, so we would have had a gold-backed currency. But when you look at that act, it has the word housing on the bottom of it. So the gold's gone. We don't know where it is. No one seems to know where it is. But that's just yet to be uncovered in future investigations. But strangely enough, when Donna and I in Adelaide, when Donna was having a child abduction scenario happening, we produced the Decimal Point Currency Act, the Financial Agreement Decimal Point Currency Act, and that video went viral. But shortly after that, they removed the last 4 pages, removed the word housing from the bottom of the document, shrunk it down to a 3-page document. So the word housing is no longer there. But we know exactly when they removed it, and we can soon go into one of the search apps and find when that was actually done.
Do we understand the significance of its removal or it being there? Because
it was because we were exposing that the money was held to public housing and it had no value. It wasn't backed by gold. It wasn't backed by anything. So it was basically signaling to people, hey, you better look at the Bills of Exchange Act. I think it's Section 90 or Section 80, where it says promissory notes. And as the banking system, as some of you may or may not know, we make a promise to pay to the bank. It's only got your signature on it. They put that as an asset on their ledger. You're promising to pay it. So it's a contract for you to promise to pay. They put it on their ledger, and then they give you back the principal that you promised to pay. But the critical part is with the banking system is if you only receive the principal, and that's money creation in this time that we're in now, is the promise to pay is the instrument. That's why people say, oh, you make the money, you create the money when you sign the document. Well, that's essentially true, but they put it on their ledger, put the electronic principal back in your account. But where does the interest currency come from? And not many people can answer that question. And the fact of the matter is it can only come from 2 major places and 1 secret place. So the first place is broken loans. So we take a loan for a $100,000 car. The lender doesn't make the payments. They come back and get the car. That gets sold at the auctions for 50 grand. But that 50 grand has then been put into the system and the people don't pay their loan. So that's currency's flushed into the system. Whereas where we all gouge out of that money there to pay our interest payments. So it's like a float in the system they're keeping afloat. Now, the second one is inflation. So whatever the interest is, usually the inflation's the same. So the next money creation on house lending or loan applications is another principal into the system. So if they inflate, they have to, the float and the inflation covers the interest going into the system. So that's a big Ponzi scheme. It's just filled full of lies and fraud and deception. But however, anyway, getting back to the document, so what we uncovered was that the ANZ Bank and the Westpac Bank were given 1.1 trillion in US Treasury notes. And we know that the difference between the market difference between the Australian dollar and the US dollar, which is, 60, floating at about 62 or 64 cents generally over the last year or so. So you can imagine what that is in Australian dollars. That's, getting upwards to sort of nearly $2 trillion. But it was there to be put in there at 4%. And 4% accruing every year. And so in 1997, so for 30 years. So in 1997, 50% of that was to be released to the public for humanitarian projects.
So hang on. Let's just get this straight. The 12,000 tons of gold and this.
There was there were multiple deposits. The central bank was
all in 1966 at this time.
Not quite.
The gold was given in 1966 and the cash was given in on the 1st of January 1967 to mature over a 30-year period. The end of the 30-year period, 50% of that outcome was to be given to the public and the remainder was to be reinvested for another 30 years. Now, this money was given to every bank account in the world to commence trade in gold-backed currency. But they continued the fiat system and made us debt slaves. So in reality, from 1997 onwards, every loan and every house and every farmer that's committed suicide is on their heads.
So in 1997, when 30 years was up at 4% interest, there should have been trillions of dollars. What happened?
Well, we don't know. They've just concealed it all, and now we're really at the second phase. We're only sort of 4 or 5 years off the.
No, 2. 2027 was the time they were supposed to release round 2. You know, and they haven't even released round 1.
Which, when you're looking at one bank, let's just look at the ANZ, for instance. It was given 1.1 trillion at 30 years. That works out to be, I think it was about 4 trillion.
Yeah, about 3.2 trillion at 30 years. And then at another 30 years on top of that, it's 11.3 trillion.
So, and that's supposed to be released to the public.
That's 4% per annum compound interest, which is what they were on with their time deposit. That's what they were given in the 1st of January.
Half of that, say $5.5 trillion, is meant to be released to the public.
So at 30 years, it was 3.2 trillion. So that should have released about half of that then. And then in another 30 years, that would have accrued interest and they would have released more. So this has gone on worldwide. We're not the only one. When they say
released, would that have been released to the banks and the governments? I'm just trying to think places where this money would
released
go.
to us.
No, but it was meant to us personally or for humanitarian projects to aid us.
For humanitarian projects to aid us, and humanitarian projects is also paying out every home loan and stop making us debt slaves. So, and as I said in the video that we posted, that if we were to give $500,000 to every man and woman in the nation, that only comes up to 1.25 trillion. So in 1997, if everybody had gotten their $500,000 from one bank, not the other bank, because the Westpac got the same, and the Commonwealth Bank got 660 billion, and they're all at 4%. The NAB got, how much did the NAB get?
Let me have a look. The NAB got 700 billion. Macquarie Bank got 700 billion. St. George Bank, which is now being bought out by Westpac, got 520 billion. Westpac got 1.1 billion. This goes on and on.
So all at 4% to be matured in 30 years. So that was, like I said, was supposed to be released in 1997, but they didn't.
This money came from where exactly?
From the Philippines, the Avida Trust.
Alpha Omega.
So the Alpha Omega Trust, the Alpha Trust and the Omega Trust, and that was the gold reserves of the ancients that had put all that gold together and hidden in bunkers throughout the Philippines. And we've all heard the stories, but it's real. It is absolutely real. And many people who have gone after it and tried to use these things as instruments have been executed. But it's been hijacked by the cabal and kept us as debt slaves. Because when this thing finally goes, if we can all look back and think how many farmers have committed suicide, and when we walked out of that Parliament House the other day and we saw those 2,500 shoes from men that had committed suicide, and it gets down to broken families and financial stress. Those families are breaking up because they lose their home, or the guy loses his job and then they lose their homes. So we're talking 2,500 men that have killed themselves. And we
1 year.
We went to water. Literally, when we walked out of Parliament House and we saw that shit, we were just like, I couldn't stop the water coming into my eyes. It was just like so heartbreaking. And then we went over there and saw the children's shoes there, and we couldn't quite work it out. We were going, are these fathers taking the children with them? But it wasn't. They were the children that had donated their shoes for their father's position because they didn't have a shoe for that father that had committed taking his life, due to financial stress. And all this blood is on this government's head, and they are responsible for it 100%. And, as you know, Carl, they control the media, they control the lies, they control the debt slavery. No acts in this country are valid. And it's like I say to the coppers and all the rest of them, you only have to look at the referendum dates and results. What's wrong with you? The evidence is there. Oh, no, we don't want to look at that. No, you're a sovereign citizen or something. They're mental. And it seems to be, because I asked a copper once, what is the IQ to joined the police force since you're our key investigators, and yet you can't even look at a 4-page document to see if these laws are valid or not. You know, Queen of Australia, the Australia Act, the 1999 referendum that said, no, we don't want a republic, but yet we've got all these ABN numbers. We're run by terrorists. It's a death cult. And that's just straight out what we call it. So we're here to expose this stuff, and we want everybody to get online and look at these documents and see what this government has actually done. And, you know, there's no God that's going to help them when this stuff comes out.
And then we find out that I was just going to say, then we found out, you know, the ATO, as you probably know, is paying off to BlackRock. And like someone said here, the ABC need to be held accountable for their concealment. They did do a good one called The Hunting Grounds, which started to expose the child care industry. Have a look at that. It's called The Hunting Grounds. Now, the reason that, again, like Peter said in the video, the reason why they have to put their children into childcare is because we haven't got this money through. And it's tightening everything up. So over 3,700 is the official statistic for just 1 year suicide in Australia. And that's not the hardship and other things that it's caused people, so much hardship. So, you know, they do have a lot of blood on their hands. And guess who's paying to get all the children uplifted? It's from the government. So all this uplifting of the children, 40,000 every time they take the children, it's all coming from their criminal cabal and child trafficking. So it covers everything.
When you presented these documents, what did you think was going to happen?
Well, not really much, because we already sort of provisioned that they don't know. Those CEOs have got no idea, and you can imagine that their lawyers are pecking through this document. It's been signed off by 15, the full bench of 15 of the International Court of Justice, and the 17 judges or the full bench of the International Criminal Court. It's got all the signatures in there. It's got John Howard's signature on there in 2007 to say the document's true and correct. I mean, what are they thinking? They're thinking that this stuff's not going to come out. I mean, they are hanging by a hair. They really are. And it's not going to be long before we all work out that, you know, these people, they're just terrorists.
That front lawn won't be filled with shoes. That front lawn of Parliament House will be filled with people one day, because more and more people are figuring it out, because the hardship is causing people to look and to figure it out. Now, you saw what they did with the document, Carl, in the videos. They're trained to receive service documents, so they just got it and handed it straight off. Got it, handed it to their cronies, and off they went. And no doubt went back to the office and handed it to their barristers and lawyers that are paid a pretty penny. These CEOs are paid millions of dollars with millions of dollars of perks.
Yeah, 10 million a year they get.
That's with perks and everything, you know.
How do the next sort of question folds on? Should those lawyers read through it and find that they can't evade going to court? And I think that's personally the first thing they're going to do is try and dismiss this as something that's just a fantasy, and they'll try and put you in the loony bin.
I'm a clinical mental health nurse. I can't do that. I've already tried.
so you have significant evidence that proves everything that you say. However, we know that getting a fair trial in Australian courts doesn't really matter which end of the court. And I had an argument with somebody the other day who tried to tell me that the High Court has never made a wrong decision. So
they need to go into that mental institution, I think.
Yeah. I mean, they've been sucking on the Kool-Aid that's been coming out of an exhaust pipe of an old diesel truck.
I reckon I know who that is.
Pretty wild. You might.
We don't know. We don't know.
No, we don't know. Pretty wild stuff. So, how do we get it enforced? That's the thing. Like you said, there are 17 judges of the International Court that have signed it. But the International Court has also put out, capture orders for all sorts of government corporate criminals, and there are no forces for the International Criminal Court to send after them. They haven't put a bounty on these people's heads, so there are no international bounty hunters coming to get Albanese and others who are meant to be in front of the court. How do we enforce this going forward? And I think you touched on it before there, Donna. It's we the people that enforce this.
Yeah. And we thank everyone who came and did the grand jury, because that's going to be a big part of backing everything that we're doing. And there is 12 trustees that have been appointed, and it is a matter of the people coming together. As we know, many freedom fighters are talking in that same spirit of the people coming together and saying, show us the money.
Yeah.
So one of the objects with this now is that we hopefully to get it out far and wide. And what people can do is when they are fighting their home loan, they should be reading this document and working out, I've got a counterclaim. Where's the money? You can't just foreclose on my loan. I've got a counterclaim, and run it to a trial, because what they're doing is that they, in their court systems of repossessions, they run what's called summary judgments. Now, they are, when the banks will send you a foreclosure notice, it goes to a summary judgment, because the people have got no argument back. They go, here's the contract you've signed. Why haven't you paid it? And the people go, I don't know, I've lost my job. And then they go, bang, close, you're out. But with this document here, and they create an argument, they say, well, you were supposed to release, $500,000 to us, or that's just one bank, whichever one they've got back in, 1997. And if it was today, that would be, $1.5 million. And then they would be able to simply run a counterclaim against the bank. Now, the document signed off by the full bench of the ICJ and the ICC, also Queen Elizabeth, Obama, John Howard. How on earth are they going to say this thing's not true? It's signed off by 300 presidents and prime ministers of the world. Yeah. They were all
royalty, everything.
They were all given the money, and there's no way out, because the document also has a section in there that the ICC declared that the Treasury instrument has been cleared of any fraud, of any misappropriation of funds, and that it's absolutely true and correct. So what court is now going to come along and say, well, all these signatures are fraud, the ICC and the ICJ are fraud? It's the full bench. It's not just one or two judges. It's the full 15 and the full 17 of the ICC. So we have some things we can't disclose here about moving forward, because, as you know, when we don't want to give any preemptive notice of potential strikes we're going to make. And so they were going to have some pretty serious problems coming forward. And, and the more public we go, the more protected we are, because if we're doing this on the silent, then it makes them very easy to pick us off and they had an accident going down the road, and people are going to wonder, well, hang on, they're disclosing one of the biggest bank frauds in the history of this country, and government frauds in the history of this country, and they'll know something's seriously wrong with that. So,
I just wanted to read this part, because any refusal to comply shall be regarded as actionable obstruction, subject to remedy under US and international law. That's in the document as well. So if they do try to obstruct, or try to usurp or not come clean, then there's other actions that we can take as well. And that's right in the chat. It is a clear breach of fiduciary duties, which we know Ramona and that team are doing amazing work, getting all that work out there. Love her, love everything they're doing. But so it's definitely a clear breach of their fiduciary duties.
When you served the documents on the bankers here, I was told that within hours, these documents were being shown internationally at other banker organizations or associations, or however that works. Have you heard anything about that? Have they spread internationally?
Allegedly, they have. The videos had so many, at least 2,000 or 3,000 hits every day or thereabouts. It's still growing. And it has been sent to the International Criminal Court. They actually applauded what we did and said that's just about time. And because, we didn't have this knowledge before, and if anybody else had had the knowledge, I'm sure they would have disclosed it as well. But we just came across it in relation to what we were doing in the back end of another system that we're building. And, Yeah, so, allegedly that's where it's gone, to the ICC and all over the world.
That's right. By unity and all of us working together to hold them accountable. That's exactly right. You got a great audience there, Carl.
So do we need to this isn't so much turning up at Parliament House in Canberra and waving the red or the blue flag. This is more. This is turning up at your corporate bank headquarters and blockading the doors, isn't it?
Well, and not only that. Imagine what's going to happen to the court system when the mortgagees, and hopefully that some of them are starting to wake up, file this into the court and create an argument, because on those summary judgments, you go to court the first time, you go to court the second time on a summary judgment, and bang, you've lost your place. But when it becomes you file stuff in, then it creates a trial of the facts, even though it's going to be heard by an arbitrary judge. If you were to get a lawyer and run this document, the bank will probably tap out. That's my position.
Yeah. We have shown this to a few lawyers, and they've gone, "Wow, this is for real." Yeah.
Yes, we do have a couple of awake lawyers that we found on the journey. Extraordinary people. Unfortunately, they have become lawyers because they thought that they could change the system, and then they've gone, "Oh, how stupid was I thinking I could change the system, because the system is putrid." So they're basically in there operating as a lawyer to try and protect the people the best they can, because there are sellout lawyers, and these two lawyers aren't sellout. They've worked out what the document is, and they're just going, "Oh my goodness." One of them said to me, he gave up smoking in 1999. He goes, "I think I'm going to go outside and smoke a whole packet tonight," after reading the document. So
yeah, right.
We won't be mentioning his name, but he's a real character. But he knows what it is. He's seen it, and he's been pumping us with stuff today that he's found on all these facts.
And we want to congratulate the two full-blooded originals that we've got on the document as well. So they have been appointed. We've got 12 trustees, and 2 of them are full-blood, beautiful, original people that are totally on board for helping everyone. And it's
Can you
it's
just
for
explain
everyone.
the 12 trustees, Donna? Can you explain what the trustees' role would be?
Yep, the trustees' role is to go and recover, to investigate, to discover what's happened with the money. That's the trustees' role. They've been appointed by another man who had power of attorney, and so their role is to go on a discovery journey, which is what we've been doing. And then we're permitted to audit and to recover these funds for the people, for representing all of the people. We're doing this, all of the people of this nation, of this continent, representing them all, and to then have a system to give it back to the people. So we are building a system that's called the People's Building Society, and that will be a part of giving it back to the people. But we hope for it to be a lot bigger than that as well.
Yeah. As CP says, thank you for all that you are doing for us. And I know from personal experience, you're doing a hell of a lot in a very little bus you were, but apparently you've got your other one back it up and running again. Is that right?
Yeah. We just need the little one for now. We're just ambiguous, running around town, so we like to stay kind of below the radar as best as possible. And we do only have 3 editions of the Corruption Whistleblower out, because the 4th edition is the solution-focused one that I'm building at the moment. Hopefully it'll be out in about February, with all the solutions, with the People's Building Society, the asset-backed coin that's going to be launched, and it's called the AB coin, and it's coming together very well. You'll be all getting your own apps and be able to work on it. It'll have like 4 aspects to it. It's got a Facebook aspect, so you can chat with each other, but it won't be monitored, of course, and edited like Facebook. It's got a barter market aspect that you can buy and sell from each other. You can get on and vote. It's got governance. This new app that we're releasing with the People's Building Society has governance, and then it also has the AB asset-backed coin and the ability to save and gold back and get gold sent to you and all this kind of stuff. So hip hooray, that's coming together. The back end's being built now. Hopefully that'll be going in testing phase in January, and hopefully launched for everyone definitely by the latest in February.
How bizarre would be interested to know if you're going to go back and see the guys that you served and get any feedback from them. Is the plan to try and get a sit down with them at some stage?
Well, not at this
order,
stage.
really, won't there?
It will be an order, but we're probably considering posting that one out because they was very lucky that we were able to sort of trap, or we went trap, that we had a sequence of events that allowed us access to those, and we weren't too far away, so we just pounced on it and went for it. But the next set of letters that'll be going out will be from lawyers to say, where is it? It'll be a demand for the money, and we can't talk too much about stuff that we think or may think will happen because there's a number of strategies how we're going to move forward, because in the end, if we don't give them a way out, and there'll be plenty of people online that will go, no, you know, the usual rope scenario. We won't discuss what that is, but I'm sure we all know what that is.
They do need a trial at some stage.
But in the end, if we were to get, 16 million customers off of a particular bank, and we're able to administer that bank and cancel all the home loans because they're all fraud, and then inject funds into there as well, then that's probably more of a hit than going after them and going, well, we're going to prosecute every last one of yous and bankrupt each bank, because each bank can simply be bankrupted now, or not simply, difficultly bankrupted. But is that the right solution moving forward? I don't think so. But anyway, that I can't elaborate on those behind the scene moves just at this point.
The banks would be vulnerable to a run, and if the people lost faith in the banks, they would make a run. So it's not I suppose it is difficult, but it's not difficult. If the bank plays this the wrong way, it would be very bad for them.
Well, the banks would want to be worried.
Huge potential. The
banks would want to be more worried about the run than people running at them like Braveheart, because they have put us into slavery, and there'd be a lot of people out there whose parents have committed suicide, and farmers in particularly 3 a week commit suicide because of the banks and the putting pressure on putting pressures through mortgages, where those farms have been handed down through multiple generations, and then the economics of the country, we're going to just cancel the live export stupidity. They should have just banned live export to Indonesia, where that stuff was happening, not killed the whole thing and kill all those farmers off, and put them all into real lot of pain and suffering, because they all had mortgages for those loans from elders and all those sorts of things, where they get their stock on credit, and all those farmers who have lost their lives, like I said to you, Carl, the blood of them is on these banks and governments' heads, and they are going to regret what they did, that's for sure, because when the people wake up to this stuff, and
unfortunately, their souls are built around spreadsheets and numbers, balance sheets, profit and loss. Doesn't really care about.
I don't think they even have a soul, to tell you the truth. They're just meat suits.
It's a very good way of putting it, mate. They are in many cases, as you say, just meat suits. So what can we do? I guess share this video. Go and check out. I posted the link last night, and we can do it again.
Thank you.
To your video at YouTube, where you actually go and serve those documents. But it's about awareness now, isn't it? It's as many people as possible can learn that they are due a share of what is a provable level of money that is quite staggering and beyond most people's belief. I mean, I'm not completely sure how many zeros there are in $1 trillion. So I've never really had to think. But I'm a shit person when it comes to maths. So,
Well, I can tell you're the first one to break this, and we wanted to go with you first to break this. We hope to get on, there's other BBC radio and other stations that want to have us on. So we wanted to break it first with VOF. And definitely. You got a great audience, and you're such a long-standing truther, Carl. So we appreciate you very much.
Yeah, absolute warrior, Carl.
Thank you, guys. Well, look, I do what I can do, but by God, you guys drive around the country 3 times a month compared to anything I do. So but I'm hopeful of changing that, and it will require a little bit of fuel and a little bit of funding. But I'm hopeful that next week I'll actually head over to Victoria and help out with these farmers. So
that would be
if we
great.
can get a little bit more awareness to what's going on in Victoria at the moment, with those farmers trying to protect their properties from the government doing whatever the bloody
and show them the video, give them the documents, like Peter said, give them the documents, let them file those documents in and say, well, wait a minute, we're supposed to have all this debt relief, what are you doing about it? It'll give them more time. It'll get there. Someone's shown you how many zeros are in a trillion.
Thank you, Vince. So what's that? 3, 6, 9, 12 zeros in $1 trillion.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I
1,000 billion, isn't it? 1,000 billion? Is that right? It's 1,000
billion. Yeah.
Billion.
And a trillion is a quadrillion.
Yeah, they've made a new name for it. The new name for it, I think, now.
No, trillion. 1,000 trillion is a quadrillion.
Yeah. There you go. Because I thought and this gets me back. We're wondering where the money went.
That's the question.
We know that the City of London and the Vatican have had access to the fiat system ever since its creation. And of course, it was a very big shift, as you pointed out, from the British pound to the decimal system in 1966.
Australian pound, it was. The Australian pound to the decimal point, yes. But it was backed by, at least when they had the pound and they were running under the Commonwealth of Australia, it was backed by land. Gold. It was backed by something. And then they just went to this backed by nothing. Now,
we thought that the City of London and the Vatican had been cleaned out, all the money had been found and taken, and, that was just a shell now for the rest of the movie, a set, if you will. But this level of money, where they've had another bite of that cherry in 2007, that's a significant, like a really significant amount of money that only certain organizations would be able to bury and secrete so deeply. And recently, a lot of the money that's been coming out to prop up the gold and silver market fight that's going on to try and stop silver bubbling up in price, that's been coming out of hidden accounts related to the Vatican in particular.
Wow.
But I'm led to believe that the Vatican and the City of London are still writing checks. So they have access to a shipload of money. And I'm wondering whether or not what we're talking about here may not form part of that.
Well, they've been given a gazillion amount of money as well. If you do look through the document, that's why we put the entire Treasury document in. Go and have a look what the Swiss bank was given. Go and have a look what the England and USA and all the other nations around the world were given. Again, it's this huge amount of money. Yeah. So the quadrillion.
Where do you park a $250 billion? The Cayman Islands, you'd sink the Cayman Islands with $1 trillion, wouldn't you?
Well, they're only digits. In the end, it's all backed by gold. So, not in the current system, but US. See what they got in America now is the Federal Reserve note, but that's not the Treasury Reserve note. And they're two distinctly different notes. One's backed by gold, and the other one's just a Federal Reserve load of rubbish.
Note. Yeah, bit of paper, an IOU.
And so is all crypto. All crypto is all not backed by anything. So, do be careful with crypto. I mean, of course, they've all got a little bit of it, but they can just pop into your crypto account and snatch it out whenever they want. That's all fiat money.
We've all got a little bit less today. All got a little bit less today after the big crypto crash. So,
did we have a crash? Did we? I didn't see it.
Yeah, I think it's dropped 25, nearly $26,000.
Don't be surprised. They're going to clean that out next. Don't be surprised.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's why we want to launch, the asset-backed coin in this nation, and we've got a lot of beautiful originals that have come on with the fair share agreement, and because we've got the JORC report that. This is all separate again because this is how we got access to this information, because we're doing the People's Building Society that's got governance, it's got barter market, it's got, phone-to-phone transactions, and I'm telegraphing out a little bit. Probably shouldn't be, but I am, and it's coming. The People's Building Society is coming, ready or not.
Yeah, and it's a system that gives away prosperity packages. So it's not a bank. It's actually an exchange system that creates prosperity in the nation. But anyway, we'll elaborate on that a little bit further down the track. We don't want to release too much of that because they'll put roadblocks in front of us and do anything to stop what we're doing.
Yep.
So, yeah, hopefully that'll be a bit of a story for in the new year when it's time to release it and give away the funds.
Yeah, so we will be giving funds. If you're born in Australia, you'll get 10,000 A Bitcoin coming on. So it's that kind of got the capacity to give prosperity packages, like Peter's saying, and then governance as well. The people will vote. The people will vote with this system. You know what my dream is? To get ABC and to get voting on television. And, this whole nation could be run by like a grand jury kind of format. So instead of the voice just voting for someone who sings, how about we vote for really pertinent things like, do we want to give away 22 years of natural gas to Japan? Do we really want to do that, everyone? I reckon not.
Yeah. Do we want to have 600 nearly 1,000 new Australians coming into the country on permanent residential visas and school visas and every other kind of visa?
Let's vote.
What is it? And more particularly, what is an acceptable level? Yeah. Is it 100,000? Is it 150, 200,000? What is an acceptable level? Because we all know we need to bring people into the country, but this is how, and with blockchain available to us, all we need is a reliable, and I think that's in part what the problem is at the moment. There's a lot of people who claim they have reliable blockchain vote counting apps, but they want to charge a mozza for them. And some of the ones that are a lot cheaper than that are open to interpretation, can we just say?
Well, ours is a little bit. Can I just make a comment on that? So ours is a bit different because we pay people to vote.
Yeah,
that's how the system works. You vote, you get a gift from your country so the country gives you some love, and then you got to give it back, or you won't get your prosperity package. It's as simple as that.
And how do you guarantee that the person on the other end of the phone is the person?
They'll all be verified on the app. They'll all be strictly verified when they come onto the app. It's not a digital ID. It's just a verification. And then once you're verified, you know that you're talking to another person who's for real. It's not worldwide. This one is this continent only.
Yeah, right. Okay. Gee, that sounds exciting. And no, I know we can't go too deep into it, but I'm going to see a bit more of you in the not too distant future, and I'm going to sit you down and wring you both dry. Privately. We don't have to talk publicly all the time. Look forward to it. All right, guys, thank you for spending an hour with us tonight. God love you both. I know the part of the world that you're in, and I'm very envious. And you're about to leave again and hit the road for a little while. So please be safe on the road. There are a large and increasing variety of dickheads who present themselves in new and various interesting ways on the road I found on the way down. So, just be aware of them. And keep up the great work. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, and bless you all, and bless your beautiful audience, faithful audience. Very good.
So, and the message is, share this video, folks. Share this. Yes. Let people know.
And just one quick note on that. So we've got all the audio, not the audience, but the people who are very asleep. This document will wake them up because everybody wants the money. And you'll even see people that aren't awake start looking at it and going, hang on, this is a high-level bit of corruption. Now we might start looking at the rest of it. So, as you know, this fight will only be won once we get to the critical mass, and we're hoping that people will come to the realisation you've been ripped off.
Yeah. Badly ripped off. And people can get the document, the redacted version, from corruptionwhistleblower.com.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, the video's there, the redacted version's there. The ICC, the submission stuff is there. The videos that when we did the grand jury and stuff like that, and the paper's there if you want to subscribe. We've just still got those 3 editions, and I just want to make a note that first edition has been served to every parliamentarian and their media people as well, so they know. And like I always say, they know, and we know they know, and they know that
whether
we
they
know
choose to do anything about it, care, believe, or whatever, it really doesn't matter.
Well, when
They've
it gets
been
to
made
critical
aware.
mass, there'll be nothing to save them.
That's exactly right. You've known for so long. So no,
that's right. They have
great work, guys. Great work, and love to you and those around you at the moment. They're all great people.
We've got a great team around us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carl.
Sure.
Thank you,
See
everybody.
y'all.
See you guys.
Thanks.
Bye. Peter and Donna from Corruption Whistleblower. And I urge you, go to corruptionwhistleblower.com. There you can download this document, which is a affidavit of certificate of proof of service. But, and Vince, I might just have to remove that for a minute because I can't see the controls. It has, as you can see here, a phenomenal amount of information. Now, Pete would tell you that you don't have to read every page. There are a lot of names, basically who it's being served to, who served it, where it's been, who has signed on it. But it also does contain how much money was sent and to whom by way of banks and countries back in 1966. And then this was, well, the fraud seems to have started in 97 and had a little kick along again in 2007. At any rate, there is, like I say, about 140 odd pages there. I'll skip to the end. So you can see a variety of continents, and then the islands in the oceans, like the Pacific Islands, all included. So it's not just Australia, it's absolutely everywhere. And this will have some very big ramifications around the whole world. So Donna and Peter and the entire Corruption Whistleblower team deserve to be congratulated and lauded as the true warriors for the truth, let alone freedom, but the actual truth. And these guys are so onto it. It's a great privilege to be around them. I was lucky enough to be invited to some meetings with them. I don't know, must be coming up 18 months ago, 2 years ago nearly. And we've been, bumping into each other ever since on a regular basis. And it's wonderful. What else did I have to tell you before I shot off this evening? What the sent a comment through that got me going. Carl Jr. has been infiltrated by an imposter. I am shocked. Infiltrated by an imposter. Oh. Oops. Beautiful puppies. Beautiful. Carl Jr., beautiful little puppy. Very beautiful little puppy. All right, Canberra, day 3. How exciting. Couldn't do it if I had a dog. Just saying. Well, that's not true. I probably could do it with a dog, but I wouldn't be allowed to take the dog into Parliament House unless, of course, it was a service dog. Anyway, back to Canberra. Beautiful day in Canberra. Not so flashy for your Pauline Hanson. Today, Pauline got through her 24-hour period of suspension from the Senate only to discover that they decided to kick her out for another 7 days. I don't know whether that 24-hour, the first 24 hours counts as maybe part of the 7 days, so she might only have 6 to go. At any rate, Parliament for 2025 will be wrapped up, and she'll probably miss the first couple of days of the new year when they come back. And knowing the Australian government, when they come back in the new year is probably April. So she'll have a good break. She did cook dinner last night for Barnaby Joyce in her office. Now, you may have seen the video. She cooked a couple of steaks on a sandwich press. I have one of those sandwich presses. I've thought about doing that so many times. And I looked at it may have taken a bit longer, but I looked at Barnaby's steak when he cut it in half, and it didn't look half bad, just between you, me, and the gatepost. So Pauline's come out today and made a statement that she isn't very happy, and she was certainly shouted down. She wasn't given an opportunity to even have the bill debated or to speak on it, and yet anybody wearing a hijab or with a strange name that doesn't have Australian blood, so to speak, but came to this country and then managed to somehow wangle themselves into our parliament, they got up to speak and bash the living crap out of her. And then, of course, Penny Wong, she's a wild one, that one. She got up and sunk the boots in as well, and then made sure, of course, that Pauline's bill didn't get mentioned, didn't get heard, didn't get seen. Payman needs to go screaming about the Constitution all while holding dual citizenship. Yep, 100% true. She has a very big mouth. I was looking at her when I was in the Senate the day before yesterday. She was one of the few that was sitting in there, I'll be honest. I was also looking for Maureen Fucuri. I think that's how you say her name. I may be pronouncing it wrong, but Maureen Fucuri, she wasn't there near as I could see. Most of them weren't, which really pisses me off. Really pisses me off. But what do you do about it? You can't throw these at them. I know that because there's far too many protective services out there. And even if there were dickheads on the road looking for them, they're being driven by rather skilled chauffeurs, most of these political types. So not that I would ever encourage anybody to do anything stupid on the roads. In fact, I saw a video just to discourage people doing stupid things on the roads. This was an American video. It was very sad. A young man came up to the police on a highway and basically turned around, presented his arms, his wrists, and said, yeah, that was me. It was all 100% me. I shot at this guy in the car. I didn't know he had a kid in the car. Turns out it was a road rage incident, and these two had got into it. This young man, I think he was 23 or 24 years of age, has somehow pulled out a pistol and fired a shot, I assume, into the back seat or through the back door of the car. And there was a little 6-year-old boy in the back seat and couldn't be seen above the windowsill, obviously, and got hit and died. So, yeah, there's road rage. Horrible thing. Don't ever be involved in that. Don't ever be involved with it. No good of it comes at all. Only dickheads do it. And there is no need for us to be a dickhead. Congratulations to Pauline Hanson. She has much courage and much guts. She does. I'm just a bit disappointed that she chose this week to do it, because this week the vote for the government to allow the UN, the WHO, and the WEF essentially full control through our environmental agencies, a newly created Environmental Protection Authority, it will allow them control of everything through the CDC, which was also rammed through Parliament just the end of their last sitting. It's disgusting stuff these people are doing, and I urge you, check out Wade from Billboard Battalion, who explains it in great depth and detail. You can see the video where he presents it all on our Voice of Freedom page, our videos page. I uploaded it from last Sunday, his speech. The whole thing runs, I think it's almost exactly an hour. And there is also a wonderful gentleman named Fraser who introduced Wade, who had a pretty good little speech of his own, just a short one. So I commend you go and have a look at those videos, or that video in particular, and really understand just how important this bill that could be made law if the Senate votes on it this week, and Well, we're trying to find out when and where. It didn't happen today, but we'll go back there tomorrow. I didn't go into the Senate today. I caught up with a couple of people and spent a bit of time here organising microphones, funnily enough. I'm going to be heading out now and heading out for dinner, although it's more a politician-finding journey than it is a dinner-seeking journey. Dinner might be just a happy offshoot, and I may bump into Wade and Nick, who I think are doing Guru's show tonight. So today being Tuesday, I think Guru's off now for the rest of the week. So can I interview Pauline Hanson, Tony? A lot of people have asked. Very few people get granted access. I have asked. I haven't been granted access. I have sent a message to Malcolm Roberts, but I haven't heard had a reply, and that's not unusual. He does get back to me. Sometimes it just takes a while, and I imagine with what's going on in the Senate and what's gone on in the last 24 hours, particularly with One Nation, then yes, answering my text might not necessarily be the most important thing on their minds. And I kind of understand that. Would be nice, though. I don't know Canberra well enough to know where they hang out, where they go for dinner, where they go and have, a little quiet time. And I doubt any of them would speak to me in that environment because it's a bit of an off-the-record kind of thing. But if there is an opportunity to build a bridge and have a beer with one of these people or more and build some sort of rapport where they may like to come on and have a chat with us, then I'm all for that. And I will try very, very hard to make that happen. Until then, though, you're going to be stuck with me and whatever it is I wind up doing. I was this close to the War Memorial today and nearly about to turn into the parking thing. Got a phone call, meant I had to go somewhere else and chat with somebody. So I never got back there. So hopefully tomorrow, the Simpsons donkey thing is a big thing for me. I want to go and catch up with that and get some nice vision and some pictures. And speaking of pictures, I might just go out tonight and take some photos around Canberra. It seems to be a clear night because it's getting bloody cold. Days have been absolutely magnificent. Nights, not so bad, but it is a little chilly recently. All right, folks, thank you very much for your help and support. If you can help a little more and enable me to get to Victoria, we need fuel, we need accommodation, we need to get back basically to Canberra because I can afford to get home from here. I've got that sort of money. But, extending over to Victoria was an unexpected, but we think, Vince and I, a necessary step. So if you are able to help, please go to vofhq.com, donate there. If you would like to donate a different way, you can help the Donkey Sanctuary out as well by picking up a ticket in our lottery. It's only $2. You can buy a maximum of 20 of them at merch.vofhq.com. Click on the Sanctuary 750 link. And we must be very close to drawing a winner for the 1 gram of gold and $750. Speaking of grams of gold, very quickly before I pop off, $79.89 is the current spot price for silver and $6,419.86 for gold. It is moving back up again, albeit a little slowly. Our markets have been copping a pounding over the last few days, although I did see something yesterday, I think it was, that they are doing something of a bounce back. Yawn. I think what they're seeing as a bounce back could be a death throw just between human and the gatepost. Anyway, folks, be safe, stay off the road, watch the dickheads. Bye.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!